Way to understand your spirit is that it's the part of you that is seeking meaning and purpose. That's one way someone can relate to that. Another way to understand spirit is that it's the part of you that feels, that is drawn to hope. That's one way to understand spirit.
The part of you that is drawn to hope.
Everyone can relate to that.
Right.
The part of your spirit that is simply drawn to hope, that will not give in to despair. The part of you that has to believe in goodness.
Yeah.
That has to believe in something more.
It's the light of you.
It's the light of you. But light needs to have a word. Like, what does that feel like? It feels like hope.
Feels like hope.
It feels like grace.
Okay,
it feels
that's really
like
clear.
love.
I got that.
Everyone can get that.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to be hopeless. It's the part that says, no, 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 I gotta have hope.
That's a tweetable quote there. Your spirit is a part of you that feels like hope.
Yep, there it is. And everyone says, I get that.
I get that.
I get that.
Okay. You say, from a spiritual perspective, in fact, the entire physical world is nothing more than our classroom. But the challenge to each of us in this classroom is, will you make the choices that you make to enhance your spirit or those that drain your power? I love that you said that, because I had just earlier today was explaining to someone that I think the world is a whole classroom, and probably I read it in this book 15 years ago and am now taking that on to be my own explanation. But that's how I see the world, as this super classroom. And that's why the idea of what we do on this channel, Life Class, using other people's life as a class, using your life as a class is so stimulating to me.
Well, that's the whole, and seeing
So
your
this is the Earth School.
It is an Earth School. It is an Earth School. And if you saw everything about your life as a learning, as a lesson, as I'm looking for truth, I'm looking for, does this drain power? Am I empowering with every choice I make? I'm either choosing to grace somebody or withhold it, to give power or to take it back. If people understand that every single thing, I'm either going to learn something from this or I'm not.
So every single choice we make is either going to enhance the spirit,
That's right,
or it's going to drain the spirit.
There's nothing in between. There is nothing in between. What one well, give me one choice that could be in between. There isn't.
There isn't.
There isn't.
Another way to say that is you're walking in the direction of love, or you're walking away from it. You're walking to fear, right?
And there is no other choice. But even if you thought, even if you're in a grocery store and you're thinking, should I buy this or not? And your gut says, you can't eat that. And you decide, I'm not going to listen to that voice. Right there, even in that tiny thing, you've walked toward fear.
Wow.
Because you've blocked your intuitive voice.
So every day, in the smallest of ways and the largest of ways, we're either giving ourselves power or taking away from it. I get that. I get that. I get that. My life is fueled by my being, and the being fuels the doing. So I come from a centered place. I come from a focused place. I come from compassion. It's just my nature. I come from a willingness to understand and to be understood. And I come from wanting to connect. I mean, the secret of that show for 25 years is that people could see themselves in me. All over the world, they could see themselves in me. And even as I became more and more financially successful, which was a big surprise to me, I was like, oh my God, this is so exciting. But what I realized is, through the whole process, because I'm grounded in my own self, that although I could have more shoes, my feet stayed on the ground, although I was wearing better shoes. These are kind of cute today, too. So I could keep my feet on the ground, even though I could get more shoes. And I could understand that it really was because I was grounded. I've done was doing and continue to this day to do the consciousness work. I work at staying awake. And being awakened is just another word for spirituality, but spirituality throws people off and they think you mean religion. When I was hiring people for my company for OWN looking for presidents, when people would come in, I'd say, tell me, what is your spiritual practice? And literally would throw, people would go, well, I'm not religious. Or I said, I didn't ask you about your religion. I asked you what's your spiritual practice. What do you do to take care of yourself? What do you do to keep yourself centered? What do you do and, one woman started crying, that's not the person.
So that's a sign.
That's a sign. So to answer your question, everything is fueled that comes from me really wanting to be a better person on earth. And this is what I know to be true. The reason why the show worked is because I understood that audience, my viewers, the people who watched us every day and would come and just like you all did, get tickets, and they would come with their family. You all just came across campus, but that's good too. But people would come from all over the world just to be there with their aunts and their mothers, and they'd come with their cousins, and there'd be a few men in there going, what the hell? How did I do this? Or saying, well, I went to Oprah with you. I went to Oprah. And I'll at least give me clear for 3 or 4 weeks. I went to Oprah with you. I had such regard for that. And I just had a conversation with John Mackey, who runs Whole Foods.
Yeah.
And has written this fabulous book, you should get it, called Conscious Capitalism. And he was talking about how the investment in the stakeholders, the people who you are serving, that connection between the people who you're trying to serve and sell to, is equally as important as the people who you're buying from, equally as important as the people who are, supporting you financially, as your stockholders if you are, a public company. So I always understood that there really was no difference between me and the audience. At times I might have had better shoes, but at the core of what really matters, that we are the same. And you know how I know that? Because all of us are seeking the same thing. You're here at this fabulous school, and we'll go out into the world and each pursue based upon what you believe your talents are, what your skills are, maybe your gifts are, but you're seeking the same thing. Everybody wants to fulfill the highest, truest expression of yourself as a human being. That's what you're looking for. The highest, truest expression of yourself as a human being. And because I understand that if you're working in a bakery and that's where you want to be, and that may be what you always wanted to do, is to bake pies for people or bake cakes for people or to offer your gift, then that's for you. And there's no difference between you and me, except that's your platform. That's your show every day. So my understanding of that has allowed me to reach everyone. And there's no way that you wouldn't, because that's what I truly feel.
It's a big, hard world out there, but you're ready for it. And you're ready because there is nothing more powerful than you using your personality to serve the calling of your soul. Every one of us has been called to the planet to use, and in this moment, in this political moment where everybody is just hysterical, in this moment, the call is for whatever side you choose to be on, to use more of you to bring forth the light. And to do that, you've got to have clarity about who you really are. There is no life without a spiritual life. There is no life without understanding what Pierre de Chardin, the philosopher and mystic, said. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. So your real job as you go out to try to find one and have all of this anxiety and fear, and your real job is to know the truth and to create a spiritual practice that allows you to stay in it. To be clear, I'm not talking about your religion. I'm talking about whatever it is that nurtures the essence of you in such a way that you can do what you came here to do. And one of the reasons why I was able to be so successful all those years on the Oprah show is because I understood there was really no difference between me and the audience. I was a surrogate for the audience because I know that the audience and you and you and you want the same thing I do. We all want to be able to live out the truest expression, the fullest, purest expression of ourselves as human beings. That's what you want. And in order to do that, you've got to practice, you've got to develop that spiritual muscle that allows you to check in with yourself and not have to ask everybody else about a decision, but to have the clarity of your own knowing, the comfort of your own knowing. And to do that, you've got to live in the space of gratitude. That is my number one spiritual practice. I practice being grateful. And a lot of people say, oh, Oprah, that's easy for you because you got everything. I got everything because I practiced being grateful. I ran across this beautiful quote the other day. I can't even remember who it was from, that said, do not waste your time desiring what other people have. Remember, the things that you now have are things you once only hoped for. So I live in that space every day of practicing gratitude because I know that being grateful wherever you are, whatever place or space in your life, being grateful changes your personal vibration. I was just having a conversation with Sheryl Sandberg the other day about her book, Option B, and we all know she lost her beloved husband, David. And I said, how did you get through it? And she said, by practicing gratitude. I didn't believe it at first, but I started to write down 3 things every day that I was grateful for. I said, oh, I've been doing that for years. Because when you wake up in the morning looking at the world for what you're gonna write down or what you're gonna state to yourself by the end of the day that you're grateful for, you have a different outlook on life. I'm just waiting on somebody to hold the door, see if that makes the list. Some days you only have, I'm still breathing, because life gets in the way sometimes. But practicing gratitude as a spiritual practice to evolve you, to bring you closer to the truth of knowing who you really are, is one of the most valuable things I have ever experienced. And I do it. I have journals and journals and journals and journals filled with 5 things a day. If you don't believe me, just for a moment, do this. Close your eyes, everybody in here. We're gonna do this for 5 seconds. You're gonna inhale, and on the exhale, just say, thank you. Inhale, exhale. Do it one more time. Let whatever you're most grateful for in your heart in this moment just rise to the surface. Deep breath. Thank you. Open your eyes. Don't you feel better? You feel better. Researchers have shown that if you can just for 17 seconds a day, bring yourself into the space of presence and gratitude, you literally change your vibration. If you can't give yourself 17 seconds, then you don't deserve a good life. You can't give yourself 17 seconds to breathe and say thank you, then just let whatever happens to you.